Today we're delighted to welcome a lady to the studio called Andree Deissenberg, who's Chief Creative Officer for the Crazy Horse in Paris. And we had the pleasure of going there last night, and it was a sort of a magical, decadent, fantastically champagne-fueled evening, wasn't it, Donna?
Fabulous.
Andree, you're very welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
What trends do you see within the Crazy Horse from the early 1950s when it started up until present day? What differences do you see and trends mostly?
The differences are huge. First of all, I think when it started, you have to remember Paris had just been liberated by the Germans had been kicked out, the Americans were coming in. Mm-hmm. Everything Americana was very cool. There was the whole chewing gum and the GIs and that's why it used to be called the Crazy Horse Saloon, and there was actual cowboys at the door waiting for the people. The whole burlesque movement was very big, so the whole idea of striptease started at the end of the 50s and just took Europe by storm. Mm-hmm. That was an inspiration. But it was very much of a male-driven society as well. Women were at home. They were taking care of the kids. All of that has changed. The business of fashion has become much more important and is a very important element at the Crazy Horse. So between the 50s and today, the social context has changed. The role of the woman in society has completely changed, and I kind of call it the Sex and the City effect. You know, women who work now, have their kids later, are much more independent. Our dancers, the dancers in the 50s were girls that would pose for charm magazines. Today they're professional dancers, performers, artists. That has changed as well. And also at the beginning in the 50s, it was a little bit more handmade. Today it's a real production value show with real professional dancers, professional technicians, professional sound system. And maybe that's another thing, much more influence of fashion. We work very closely with a lot of fashion designers, labels.
Yes.
We work closely with different artists, composers, so we have a real creative pool.
A real conglomerate.
Yeah.
And I just have another question for you. In fact, were women always allowed in?
They were always allowed in. And the Crazy Horse was always a chic place to go, but with a little bit of a feel to it. But women came. I mean, La Calas came, and Brigitte Bardot came, and less famous women came. But women were always there because it was never not good. Today, one of the big differences, the women are younger, and they will come in groups of women. You were there last night. There was 2 tables next to us. There must have been 10 girls. They were just women.
Yes.
In their early 30s.
Oh.
And they were having a night out without guys, among themselves, drinking champagne and watching a fabulous show. So that has very much changed.
With the men waiting at home. We love that.
With their slippers. The amount of women there last night, did that shock you?
Yeah, we couldn't believe the balance between the male and female numbers in the audience. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely 60% female, 40% male. And it seems to be a real sort of a female industry, doesn't it?
It's the shows of the Crazy Horse speak to women because they celebrate womanhood. They celebrate femininity, and they take the female body and they elevate it. They're like, okay, this is beautiful young dancers, but it's beautiful to be a female. There's something very inspiring and creative, the way we play with the lights, the way we play with the costumes, the way we play with the music. And you walk out as a woman, you go, I like it. It made me feel good. And I think that part of it is that I'm a woman. I have a feminine sensitivity. I know how far to push things before I feel uneasy, and I won't go there. And so maybe that's something that's evolved since the beginning, something more a feminine look and touch and feel to the whole place.
What made us feel very good, actually, when we went backstage after,
apart
from the champagne, was one of the dancers who all have these immaculately beautiful, aspiring 2 bodies, was having a McDonald's.
Yes, we love that.
They're normal women. Just blown away by that.
They're normal women. The dancers at the Crazy Horse are fabulous. They're women, active. They have a life, they eat McDonald's and chocolate, and they're curious and they travel. I love them, they inspire me. Basically, my biggest inspiration is the cast. And you have these amazing women who just are strong, self-determined, do what they want to do, and they eat McDonald's every once in a while.
Absolutely. Definitely we felt better for that in our rocking on our heels coming out.
Rocking on our heels because we were so empowered.
Yes.
What's the evolution of the story of the Crazy Horse, and how has it changed over the last nearly, 60 plus years?
Yeah.
From 1951 to present day.
At the beginning, it was founded by a man who had created basically the Crazy Horse Saloon. There was square dancing, there was Charles Aznavour that was singing, there was all kinds of acts. Slowly, he started integrating burlesque dancers who would take off their clothes just to keep the attention of the audience throughout that evening. But with time, over the time in the 60s, 70s, he started to develop really an artistic signature using lights, projections, a certain type of movement, bodies dressed in lights, with costumes, but more body-enhancing costumes, and always a very ingenious, very smart way of dealing with a very small stage, basically, that's only 2 meters high and 6 meters long, and telling stories based, underlined with music, telling stories of these women.
By times last night, I found that you didn't see the person. You were looking at the lighting and the movement of the lighting on their body, and the way it changed, and your mind changed so quickly, and you didn't see the form of the person, but you really saw all this magical work that was going on behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, it's like an art form, really, isn't it?
It is, in a way, an art form. It's very unique. No other show in the world that I know of plays with so little space, with bodies that are all the same, and that create something, they serve a higher purpose. It becomes an aesthetic experience, almost an aesthetic shock, because you walk in and it's all the same heights. There's lines, there's dots, it's graphic. The girls' haircuts are always very, very graphic. The makeup, big red lips. So they're usually in heels. So there's this whole artistic, creative thing going on, which is interesting because we have a lot of designers and artists in our audience that come and get inspired from Beyonce, who called us to work with us, Justin Timberlake, Pharrell Williams. I have so many, I can't even name them, but also a lot of designers because they're inspired. There's something magical that happens on that stage through the lighting, the dance, the music, and the size of the venue.
Atmosphere. Where do you get your customers from?
Our customers are international, but 50% are French. And then in the other half, we have a lot of Americans, Russians, Italians, some Swiss, Belgian.
No Irish, I'd say, go to things like
I don't know.
because we're all really well behaved.
What was one of the amazing things is the girls were so alike in their body form, even though their faces obviously were different. But to get that, how do you recruit?
Okay, so first of all, we have a lot of girls that come and see us because they want to be part of the Crazy Horse. They don't just want to dance anywhere. They want to come because they know that we have, at the Crazy Horse, developed a real signature. It's like going, to Chanel because you like those black dresses, or you know that if you go to, to Paco Rabanne, you're going to have metal pieces on there's a style, and they're like, oh, I want to be part of this style. So it's not only just about dancing, it's about being part of the style. We recruit them based on physical. They have to be pretty, of course, but they also have to fit a certain mold. The mold is not to make everybody the same, but it serves, like I said, a higher purpose of aesthetics. And then they have to be good actresses and be curious in life, because at the Crazy Horse, when they enter, they will do first the group acts, but over time they'll learn different places in the show, and they continually evolve, and we help them evolve. And it's really important that they're girls and performers, artists that are hungry and that want to evolve artistically. And if we feel very fast if there's somebody who's just like, okay, I want a job, doesn't work. It's almost a life. It's being part of a
like a lifestyle
adventure. Yeah.
Andree, thank you very much for joining us today.